Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. We have a wonderful episode that we baked for you today. We're going to be talking about Waitress and Aladdin. First of all, within Waitress, we're going to be talking to Marisha Wallace, who plays Becky, and I was at an event where they announced two new cast members going into Waitress. Ashley Roberts, who's going to be playing Dawn, and Lucy Jones, who'll be taking over from Catherine McPhee in the role of Jenna. Next, we're going to be having a discussion I had with the author of a website called Talk Stagey to Me, Charlotte, who saw Aladdin, and I also saw Aladdin. We were at the screening together, so we are going to be discussing that. So let's get the show on the road with the discussion with Marisha Wallace talking to the new cast members, Ashley Roberts and Lucy Jones from Waitress. I didn't start my recorder until halfway through the very beginning of the conversation, so it starts a bit randomly, but you'll get the gist.
Well, I love Sarah. She's just amazing. I'm a little bit of too much of a fan that when I met her, I did my whole audition and I was shaking before, and I went in and did my audition and I was like, oh my god, I managed to stay cool the whole time. And then they were like, thank you so much for coming. And I was like, okay, it's over. I was like, can I just say how much I love you? And I went to pieces. I was like, not cool, so not cool. But then I saw the show in New York, and it's just broke me. It's just incredible, and it is so funny. People don't expect to laugh at it so much, and it really is hilarious. But you cry, you laugh, you come out feeling like a better person, and you want to do good things in the world. And I think that's what it's all about, really. So,
Well, Ashley, this is going to be your West End debut, girl. So was this always a dream of yours to be in a musical or to be on Broadway? What could this be your dream?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was really pop world and hip hop and jazz dancing kind of stuff, and it wasn't really a big goal of mine until I did Strictly. And I'd been 10 years off of performing and getting in and being able to come up with all the characters and the stories. I was like, I want to perform again. I want to get out on the stage, and it was just divine timing that Waitress and after Strictly it came together, and I just feel so grateful to have this opportunity because I get to really show all different sides of myself. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. And you've been in the UK for a little while now, right?
6 years now.
So you like me, you're a transplant. You came, they kidnapped you, and then you just stayed forever.
Basically,
we ain't going back to the States, we love it.
I do.
Awesome. Now, Lucy, you played several different roles. You were in Les Mis, you did Maureen and Rent. And so, what made you want to play Jenna in this show?
Well, she's just a powerhouse, isn't she? Someone said to me after the show the other day, they met me and they were like, wow, it's so weird seeing you now because you're so not that. And I was like, oh, I thought I was quite a powerful human. She's just so strong. She's just an amazing treat to play someone so real. You don't get to play these flawed characters who have real lives and real problems. And we're talking about tricky stuff. We're talking about abusive relationships and unwanted pregnancy and affairs, and you don't get to play with this stuff very often. And when you do, it's usually so over the top and strangely written that you can't relate to it. But everyone who's come to see this show that I know and that I've seen on social media has kind of gone, wow, I relate to it in so many ways, more than I ever thought I could with a musical or a stage production. And that really resonates with me. I can't wait to do it. The last role that I played on stage was Elle Woods, and she's like, oh my god, it's all oh my god. And now I get to do She Used to Be Mine, which is the polar opposite of Elle. However, there are some similarities, like the girl power and the friendship with the waitresses and the Delta News. There is kind of weird similarities, but the role is just it's a gift. I don't know many people that wouldn't want to play it.
Yeah, there's so many girls who want to play it. They're always tagging me on Instagram and Twitter, singing She Used to Be Mine. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah, I'm so lucky. So lucky.
So now, how are you feeling about joining the show? Well, you've already kind of joined.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about just coming into a fresh new crop of people? Yeah. Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I'm nervous, excited.
Yeah.
And getting to meet you girls. I mean, you're so lovely and so talented. I already feel welcomed. So I'm just, I'm excited to get in the mix and get out there, because this is really what is so amazing about getting to perform, is that live interaction that you get to have with the audience and being so present. So yeah, I'm excited. The cast is fantastic. So
Yeah, we're like one big family. Like truly, like we get together before every show and we have like a little prayer circle where we like talk about what's going on in our lives, and just like it has to be that way for this kind of show. So it's really nice to add some more new family members to our family. So it's nice.
thanks.
Okay, now what about you? How do you feel about joining this show, Miss B?
Well, I've heard so many rumours about myself over the last few months, you would not believe. Pretty much none of them are true. I've been on a billboard in Times Square. My friend texted me saying, "Congratulations on your Broadway debut," and I was like, "Huh? Great, go me. Where did I come from?" But the second, I was very nervous to come in by myself, especially to such an iconic role, and I'll be the first British person to play the role. So that's quite it's a big thing for me. It's a huge thing for me. So when I came into rehearsals, I was feeling quite nervous, but the second, you will feel this, the second that I was with you guys, it was just complete support, and I felt protected, and getting onto the stage as well, feeling as soon as I heard Sugar, I was like, oh my god. Oh god, I did. But no, it's just an amazing feeling, and I can't wait to be here all the time.
Oh, we're excited to have you guys. Now, you've already talked about how much you fangirl about Sarah Bareilles. Have you been a fan of her music for many years? Like, she just has so many great songs, like Brave, and like her new album that's just came out. So, are you guys big fans?
Definitely, definitely.
She's fantastic, and you know, she did a song called Gravity, and there was a contemporary piece in the States called So You Think You Could Dance that me and Michaels did, and it was amazing. And the way she writes, it just brings you in the melodies that she does. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she fills you up, doesn't she? It's
Yeah.
just so, as soon as she opens her mouth, people are like, oh my god.
She sounds like a radio.
Everything.
Like, she sounds like, you're like, is that coming out of your mouth? It's so like perfect pitch, the tuning of it. And so we try to sound like that. I mean, I try. I don't.
Yeah. I feel like she kind of comes...
She's just so good.
She's like from a different era. It's just singular and beautiful. And if you haven't, you must read her book. It's about all the different songs that she's written and why she wrote them, and about her history and her life. And if you can, listen to it, because she reads it and sings a bit of the song at the start of every chapter, and it's just beautiful. I'm not a stalker. I promise, but it's just amazing. I don't even know who she is.
So now, we get this question all the time. I know y'all have asked us this question all the time. What is your favorite pie flavor or your favorite thing to bake? Now I always get in trouble because I say cheesecake. And they're like, that's not a pie. I just like cheesecake, okay? Calm down. All right. So what's your favorite pie?
This one. Mermaid marshmallow.
Mermaid
Genuinely, only made by this woman, is my favourite pie.
There's no sugar in this at all, guys.
It's carb-free.
Sugar-free. Not at all.
My aunt makes amazing strawberry pie.
Alright.
Ooh, honey. Yeah, freshly baked. I mean, she goes out and picks the strawberries. It's like the real deal. So I'm going to say that. I'm not much of a baker.
No,
I like
really.
Bake?
I mean, I get the bag situation. Just add an egg and water.
You know, I love a box cake. It doesn't bother me.
Nothing wrong with
my
that.
mama makes a good
Not too
butter
much
box
for that.
cake. I'm down with it. She puts pineapples on it from the can. I don't care. I don't care about organic. I just like it.
I did used to make cakes with my mum when I was a kid, which is quite a Jenna thing actually.
Yeah.
Me and my mum used to make little, like cupcake kind of things. But can't say if they were any good. But who cares? You don't have to eat them.
Pineapple upside down.
Well, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We hope that you get more tickets to see the show. If you've already seen it, come see the new cast, because it's just going to be a whole different show, because we got new people in it, and it just only gets better and better. So come back to the diner and have you another slice. Thank you so much for coming.
So I'm here at a very, very exciting press event for Waitress the Musical, where we are announcing 2 new cast members. But I'm here with a stalwart, a veteran of Waitress.
Yes.
The fabulous Marisha Wallace. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be, back at the diner and
We're literally sat at the diner.
We are in the diner.
It's very Stanislavskian and method acting with real pies and
real
smells
pies,
and things.
Everything. Right.
I will admit it's been a while since I've seen the show.
Oh, really?
And it's funny because you've just done an interview yourself with the two new cast members, so it's weird that the roles have flipped.
Yeah.
I guess the obvious question is, tell us how you feel about this.
Oh, it's exciting. Every show goes through its like different, reincarnations of itself, and it's so cool to like do, another reincarnation of this show. Like we've been open since March, and now we're making some changes that are really exciting. When you get new people in the show, it makes your whole show change because you're responding and listening differently, and it just takes it to another level, which is so cool. So it's so nice to have these new girls in. And Lucy has been in. She did a couple shows this past weekend, and it was just like to give her a little run, and she did such an amazing job. So it just changes the whole show, which
she's done it elsewhere, hasn't she?
No, she's never done it. She's just only done it here. Yeah, but she's really, really great. Yeah,
and it's must be interesting for you playing the best friends to have a new best friend.
That's so great. Like, and you have to create new chemistry with the new girls, so you kind of have to create the chemistry outside of it as well, just getting to know them, and then on stage you have to pretend that you've known them for 10 years. You might have met them yesterday, but it's not easy with these girls because they're so nice and sweet. So it
must be incredibly hard work rehearsing in the day and then doing the show. So how does that work, the logistics?
Crazy. Last week was crazy because we had rehearsals to get Lucy in for the weekend, so we basically did 9 shows and then like 3 rehearsals during the day each day. So we were doing the show at night, rehearsing all day, and then I had a concert that weekend, this past weekend. So it's been pretty crazy, but it's not like full on like this all the time, but it just comes in waves.
Must be nice to kind of flex your muscles as well and really look at your craft
and then know how far you can push yourself and still have a voice at the end of it and be okay. That it just shows you that you're training well and that you're taking care of yourself.
And what a voice you have. I have to say, the one time I saw Dreamgirls was one of the nights you were on, and I've never seen that piece before.
Yeah.
And that really took my breath away.
Oh, thank you.
Just quickly about Dreamgirls, it's a lot more integrated than I thought it would be as a piece of writing.
Yeah.
The fact that it's non-stop music, isn't it?
It never stops. It's like an opera. It's an opera. Yeah, it's an opera.
You have your arias and you have your recitative and you have, the...
It's not. That show is so full on. So to be in this show, I'm just having a great time because I just get to do comedy, which this was where I started with doing comedy. So get to do comedy, and then I get to belt my one song that everybody loves, and then I can go home and still have a life because like when I was doing Dreamgirls, I was a nun. Like I was a monk.
You couldn't speak for...
Well, like I was okay. Like I would be okay, but I would definitely have to be careful. But now I can just be a little bit more lax and have more of a life. So it's nice.
So Kat McPhee did the role originally here in London, and now Lucy Jones has come in. Are you seeing any differences between a Brit doing the role and an American?
They're so different. It's just different because Lucy brings her own kind of vulnerability to the role, and then Catherine brings her own kind of, like she has more of a quiet, like very, I don't know, it's just a very like soft touch because she's from television. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just a whole different kind of thing, and then she like breaks out and you're like, whoa, okay. So it's just different, but it's so great in both ways. Their voices are so incredible, and it's just so nice to get different takes on the same character. And it's so cool to watch them both do what they do, and their craft is really cool.
And everyone has great songs. What I loved about the score was that it's that very rare thing where it has a unique sound.
Yes.
And you hear, whilst the songs might be different tempos or different, like comedy song or the wonderful 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock number. Sarah Bareilles' stuff has such a unique sound.
She has her own sound. And it doesn't sound like anything you've ever heard in musical theater.
Even the pre-show announcement has its own sound, which they will say, which was wonderfully invented. How do you think you've not changed yourself, but the character has changed from you doing it at the very beginning, when you've done this role, to here?
I felt like in the beginning, because I was doing Dreamgirls and this at the same time.
Oh, good God.
So like the last week of Dreamgirls was the first week of Waitress. So it was crazy. So I was literally like Effie and Becky, and there was a lot of Effie in my Becky in the beginning because like no matter how much you try to switch it off, like you're still doing both, you know? So I feel like now she's becoming more of her own person. Like now Becky's a completely different person than Effie was. So I feel like now I've really gotten to make that transition and make her her own person, which is really cool.
And the film, even though it has a very sad history, I've never seen the film, so when I saw Waitress, that was my first time seeing it. Did you grow up seeing it at all?
Yeah, it used to come on television, like just like, you know, like on a Sunday or like in the middle of the day. You would catch like the last hour, or you would catch like it was really popular. It was always on television all the time.
But you didn't watch it to prepare for the part?
I didn't, because the roles are so different than these characters. I went back and watched it afterwards because I wanted to make
She's doing it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, well, I just wanted to make my own version of it. But I do have a little bit of that girl in my girl. But yeah, it's just a different girl.
I always find when you watch it, for me it was like Legally Blonde. I saw the film after the stage show, and I just started thinking, I miss the songs.
Yeah.
And I feel I have the same effect with Waitress.
And it's so cool when you go back to watch the movie, you hear the lyrics to the songs as speech.
As in Legally Blonde, the first line in that film is, "Oh my God, you guys, this is happening."
Yeah,
So
and
but
then
anyway,
that's the song.
Obviously a great role for you to be in.
Yeah.
Would you take over as Jenna?
If they asked me to, I would. That would be progressive.
Do you know the character probably better than?
Yeah.
You know,
well, I've been watching it so much that it would change the story completely. I think, to have me do it, and it would be like a really cool take, especially being like a curvy woman and being a woman of color. Like, it changes the story. It's just a different perspective on another woman's side to the story, but still keeping the core of what's true to the story.
And what I loved about it, and I mean this in the politest possible way, to me, she didn't go for her dream.
No.
It's very, very down to earth, this piece, in the fact that I don't want to give anything away, but she doesn't do. If this were a musical comedy from the 50s, she would enter the contest, if you know what I mean.
And she would also have gotten with the doctor.
Yeah,
she would,
and
like,
everything would have
happened the way.
But it's such a. This isn't away from reality, this musical.
It's almost like an anti-fairy tale, because life is an anti-fairy tale. Like, nothing really ever happens the way you want it to. Like, it happens the way it's going to. And, like, we don't always end up with the people that we want to be with. We don't always go do that contest, but we make a beautiful life anyway. Like, she has her kid. She owns the pie shop. Sorry.
If you don't know.
Don't listen to this.
She might have.
she might. We don't know. But like, she just makes her own dreams.
Yeah.
Sometimes dreams can change, and I think that's what's cool about the show.
And it doesn't hold back from the darker side of life.
No,
either.
the messy side that we don't ever talk about. There's so many messy sides to life, and they're funny too.
Yeah. But so many things you don't see in musicals, which is, I mean, Carousel, I guess you could say, but the kind of abusive side of life, which was a real shock to me when I saw it.
And it gets pretty, like, intense with it. Like, we don't shy away from it. We really show what
Was that
it's
difficult
like.
in rehearsals for some people to sit and watch?
It was. But it was, I mean, to watch Pete Hanna, who plays Earl, do it with Kat, it was just like a masterclass in, like, acting, and, like, he just went there every day. Like, even when it was just like a rehearsal, he was always right there. Like, they both did. They went there because you had to. So it was really cool to watch, and, like, heartbreaking. And then to see the song come out of that is just like, whoa.
And the one thing I was thinking about this in the lobby waiting before we started today, I love about this show is a couple of things. It's very modern in its treatment of the fans. Things like this, and the karaoke event, which I've never seen done before, which is wonderful. The fact that you're allowed to film during the curtain call, it just seems so. A lot of producers and theatre people could learn from stuff like this.
I think that's the way of the world now. With social media and everything, people want to feel like they're a part of the show. And this is like a good show to do that, because we want you to come into the diner. We want you to feel like you could come sit on the stool. And
surprised you don't let the audience on stage.
I know, I'm shocked that we don't. Like, once on stage. So, yeah, we want everyone to feel included. And it's just great publicity for the show if you get to see just the curtain call, and it prevents people from filming during the show. So they can have, like, a little piece to take with them
and
home.
things like the smell in the lobby as well, that's lovely.
Everything's interactive, which is nice.
And the kind of memory payment slips, like the bill.
The guest check,
checks. Tell us quickly before we end about the karaoke night.
So, like, if you come on a karaoke night, you have to buy a ticket to the show. You can watch the show. The karaoke's free. You get to stay. You put your name in a hat, and then we pick randomly who's going to come up and sing. We've had some amazing singers. Like, I hosted it maybe like a couple weeks ago. And we've just had some amazing singers. People know the songs. Everyone sings it together. It's like a sing-along. It's like a musical theater dream. Like
and the band stay as well.
The band, so you get to sing it
track.
live. So these people are getting to basically do a West End debut themselves. Can you imagine singing live on a West End stage and that's been your dream? It's really cool to watch. And they're so, like, brave. I'm like, how brave are you to come put yourself out there in front of all these people who are, like, artists and professionals, and then also the fans. So it's just beautiful to see and watch them do it. And it's such a supportive thing. It's not competitive at all. It's just like a really supportive, like, environment. It's great. Yeah.
And that's what the show's about.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Becky, for being on musical. You're not Becky. Sorry.
I'm Marisha, but
I
play
well
Becky.
It feels like you're Becky because you're on stage. Thank you very much, Marisha Wallace, playing Becky in Waitress the musical.
Yep.
And good luck with the rest of the one.
Oh, thank you so much.
My thanks to Marisha Wallace, Lucy Jones, and Ashley Robertson, and everyone at Waitress for being so hospitable. I had a free pie. It was absolutely delicious. I had the salted caramel and chocolate one. If you get a chance to get one during the show, try it. It makes a lovely change from an ice cream, and it's still quiet to eat, which is lovely. I also sat down with Charlotte from Talk Stagey to Me, where we talked about the film of Aladdin, which is out now. It's doing incredibly well, and we recorded an interview in the only place we could find a seat in the whole of the South Bank. It was a cafe at the National Theatre, so you'll forgive some of the background noise, but it's a very, very entertaining chat with the wonderful Charlotte, and here it is.
This is Alan Menken, and you are listening to Musical Talk.
I'm sat here in the beautiful cafe at the National Theatre, so you'll forgive industrial sounds happening behind us, but it's the only place we could find to sit. I came across your tweets about Aladdin, didn't I? And
you did.
We were actually both at all the press events together. But Disney put on an afternoon team with Alan Menken, which is always very exciting.
Yes.
We're talking about the remakes of the Disney films, focusing on Aladdin. You're a massive Disney fan.
Absolutely. I'm 100% a Disney nerd. Always have been, always will be.
Aladdin.
Yes.
You've seen it twice.
Yes.
First time, thoughts?
First time, I went in kind of thinking, and this sounds terrible, but having previously seen Beauty and the Beast and being less than impressed, I went in kind of expecting to not be wowed by this remake, especially, we'd seen some of the trailers, it didn't look 100% fantastic. And so, I went in not expecting to think anything of it and just expecting to see the same story played out with new actors, and I was actually quite impressed in some ways. I loved the visuals. I thought it was very colourful. The world that had been created, Guy Ritchie's directing style is very noticeable. It really comes across in the movie. So
what was your view when you found out he was directing it?
I was confused, to be honest. Yeah, given his prior filmography, he'd not be the sort of person that I'd expect to link to this fun, frothy, family film. I think it really worked. It came across really well.
He did have a certain darkness to it, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Obviously, Will Smith is the big draw to this film.
The big name.
I was very excited when I found out he was doing it. And I said it on this show that, he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's very clown-like when he was younger, but he is like 90 now, so he's not going to be as clown-like.
Yeah.
And the very, very difficult thing for him was stepping into Robin Williams' hilariously large shoes.
Yes.
Is it fair to compare the performances?
That's an interesting question. I don't think it's fair to compare the performances, but I think you're always going to compare the performances. Robin Williams in that role as the genie, a lot of people would say that's his iconic, or one of his iconic roles. He's very well known for it.
Now there is a tendency in Disney films to have these kind of characters that do break the fourth wall and do make modern references. It just lacked the zaniness that the original film had.
Yeah.
And I say that, and I said the same about the Beauty and the Beast remake, was because animation can lend itself to the genie perfectly, and it can lend itself to an animated candelabra perfectly.
Yes.
When you're doing with real images, real things, objects, people, it just doesn't have the same feel at all. And that's why the stage show is quite clever, because it goes back to the original concept of having him be this kind of African-American Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway performer, which is why the music for the genie stands out in the film, because it's kind of jazzy, and you have to go back in the history of Aladdin to look at the original concept, which was a buddy picture, Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, 1940s style thing. Aladdin loses his mum, so we have Proud of Your Boy. He has brothers, which they do in the stage show.
Yeah.
And Aladdin, through its history, has had 6 lyricists. So there's always different versions floating around. And the film didn't hit home for me. We were at the same screening originally. Did you notice how few people were laughing at the genie?
Yes, yeah, that's something that really stuck out to me. And I think because some of the jokes, I think it's sometimes this sort of modern humour where it's not a big laugh out loud, look at me joke, like the sort of thing that Robin Williams was doing. It was more of a snide comment, a quirky, a quip, which I think people are A, getting a bit bored of because it's in every single movie nowadays, and B, doesn't really lend itself to this like over-the-top performative character of the genie, who's this guy that just wants to show off being stuck in the lamp all this time. I don't think he's going to be sitting and talking to the first guy he's spoken to for 1,000 years and being like,
But I wanted more Fresh Prince of Bel-Air references. There was a very, very tiny one that only works if you know it's a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
Oh really? What was
reference. When he said, "Can you make me a prince?" And this figure appears at the back wearing the archetypal kind of purple and blue sweater or something like that we associate with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's so interesting.
And
I hadn't even noticed that.
He says, "Not on your life." Exactly.
Yeah.
In the curtain call, I wanted the Carlton dance. I wanted Alfonso Ribeiro to be there doing or something just to kind of to bring it as a tribute not only to Will Smith's background, to bring it to the zaniness of the original.
Exactly.
The other big, I don't want to say elephant in the room, camel in the room, is the kind of feminist twist that the film has. Very, very good. Almost apologetic, do you think?
Here's the thing, I think that, as we were previously saying on the walk over to here, all of these Disney, the original animations that came out in the late 80s and early 90s, that was the sort of time when the Disney princesses were starting to have a little bit more about them. They were starting to become a lot more independent, and nowadays you get something like Frozen, which is female-led, and the characters have their own agendas, their own wants and needs. But back in the late 80s, early 90s...
your favourite princess?
Well, exactly, yeah. Not super keen on Merida, but like back in the late 80s, early 90s, they were starting to get there with that, but it wasn't. Jasmine definitely has her own mind and she definitely has her own agenda, but it's she's sidelined a little bit by Aladdin. And so to give her much more to do in this new movie, I think A, makes sense for the story. She's the Sultan's daughter, and she, it makes perfect sense for her to want to have more power and for her to not want to be, just someone's wife and not have any agenda of her own. But also, it just makes sense for, an audience nowadays to be watching. They don't want to see, I don't know about you, but I personally don't want to sit there and watch this film that's set in this magical, historically inspired but mystical land. Faraway place, exactly. Be a secondary character in a movie that's basically she's the secondary lead of, I would argue. So yeah.
The new song, Shameless. Speechless. Sorry. Shows how much I like that song. I'm not a fan of Pasek and Paul, I'll say that now, and the lyrics stink of Pasek and Paul. It's like Let It Go got freaky with any song from The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, I definitely came out thinking it was Let It Go 2.0.
The big thing song-wise for me is what this film has always lacked, and more so in this film, is a big number for Jafar.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Jafar first.
Okay, fine.
The most pathetic villain.
Do you think?
I think. Oh, he's so...
He's definitely nothing like his original movie.
I know Jonathan Freeman was like a pantomime villain.
Yeah, which is something that carried through into the stage version.
Yes, it certainly did. And maybe they were trying to make him more real.
Yeah.
in this production, which is why they chose probably not to give him any songs.
Yeah.
He also never turned into a snake, which is a massive shame.
So disappointed
I
with the
know.
lack of snakiness. And also when he turned into the genie at the end, when the genie makes Jafar a genie in order to give
Spoilers.
him... Oh yeah, spoiler alert, if you've not seen this movie from 25 years ago. In order to give him, unlimited power, he kind of looked a little bit like lame and, he didn't have this crazy, imposing aura that the... Exactly.
A friend of mine saw it and said, you have a problem when the most charismatic thing in the film is a carpet. They still make us feel sympathy for a carpet.
Oh, carpet!
And,
oh my goodness.
Abu.
Yes.
And the lion, Raja.
Yeah, Raja.
Once you've had Prince Ali, that's it for showstoppers.
Yeah.
A Whole New World.
I loved A Whole New World.
Yeah.
I cried at A Whole New World.
The second time or the first time?
Both times.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just beautiful. I thought the two leads gave really beautiful performances. Vocals, beautiful in my opinion. Very different than the original. I love Lea Salonga so much. I went to see a Broadway show just because she was in it, solely because she was in it.
You went to Broadway?
Yeah.
What show was it?
It was Allegiance. But again, you don't have to compare the two, and I personally thought on their own that they both gave beautiful performances. Mina Massoud as Aladdin sounded like great, so did Naomi Scott, and I don't know, the whole sequence is just...
It's very magical.
Yeah.
But we did have the dancing, which was something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, no.
The very Bollywood style. I know we're not in India, but bear with us, please, audience. That was a nice surprise. And again, the curtain call at the end.
Yeah, the curtain call was a nice moment for me.
I wish Will Smith sung the stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to speaking it on one note.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the auto-tune is horrendous.
Yeah, it's really noticeable on Will Smith especially.
I mean, Robin Williams can't sing.
No.
But yet he got away with it.
Yeah. It was all in the character, and the character really came through in Robin Williams' vocal performance, whereas in Will Smith, I think it kind of felt like he was holding back, definitely. And at the beginning, the movie starts with these two children, Will Smith talking to these two children and saying, I'm going to tell you the story of Aladdin.
I like that.
I liked the setup, but I thought it was very bizarre when he was like, I won't sing, and then turned around and you thought it was going to be this amazing, oh no, I'm not going to sing. And then this incredible performance, but it was like, no, I'm not going to sing, and then he turns around and it's this lackluster, imagine a place, like, it's quite lackluster. I kind of wanted him to really go for it.
But speaking of the intro, that format never returns until the end.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted it to be a thread throughout, because there are about 7 different versions of Arabian Nights originally written for the film score that move the story. Like the Ballad of Sweeney Todd does in Sweeney Todd. They did that where they have kind of lots of different versions. And I would have liked them to have looked at the original material more. Maybe they did. We don't know.
Who knows?
People ask stupid questions at the Alan Menken thing we went to, and not good questions like mine. It was beautiful. They always are, because Disney have a $1 billion to throw at these films. And I just think, personally, this belongs more in the animated world than the real world.
Yeah.
And when he sings You Never Had a Friend Like Me, we have had a friend like you.
Yeah.
And it was a better, cooler friend.
Yeah,
but
it's
he's
a
dead
shame.
now,
Yeah,
so.
Friend Like Me, it's Robin Williams' signature, what I would say signature song, definitely the show's signature song, perhaps alongside A Whole New World. And so expectations were really high, and I actually really liked the visuals on that number, especially going back to see it a second time. I could pick out more details, and there's a lot happening in that number, and I'm excited to see it. When it comes out on DVD, I'll go back, no doubt, I'll pour over
Disney
the
Plus?
scene. Well, Disney Plus probably. Yeah, I'm going to shell out for the membership.
Not that we'll get it in this country yet, but
Who knows? But yeah, no doubt I'll go through and I'll pour over all the finer details
Did you
and find all the.
get the Star Wars reference?
No.
Okay, look out for that.
Okay.
You weren't too happy with it the first time.
Yeah, so I was so on it.
So you took your parents to see it.
Yes. Yeah.
And what did they think?
They really liked it. Yeah. I mean, they're much less invested in the Disney animated movies than I am, so I think they just went along expecting a fun 2 hours, and they were really impressed with it, I think. And they liked Will Smith, and they liked the all the new musical numbers, and they thought it was just a really fun ride. And I think that is where, if you're a fan of these, or a hardcore fan of these original movies, that can be the downfall sometimes, because you have such a high bar, and everything's rose tinted glasses. When I was a kid and I watched the original movie, so I think this new movie has a lot of really, really high points, and going back and seeing it again and noticing all these new bits, really paying attention to the performances the characters were giving, yeah, I loved it a lot more the next time, the second time.
How do you think it compares to the stage show?
See, I didn't like the stage show at all because I thought that we previously talked about it's a panto sort of, or it's panto inspired in some parts, especially with Jafar and Iago, and so I much preferred this version because I thought that what I thought that the stage version lacked was bringing the world to life.
Yeah. It looked too Vegas.
Exactly. Yeah, it was.
And I know that was intentional.
Yeah, but it didn't work for me personally. I wanted to be immersed.
You wanted
in this.
naturalistic Agrabah.
Exactly. I wanted to be immersed in this magical world where a carpet can fly and there's a genie in a lamp. I wanted to really feel like magical.
Yeah.
And I think that's something this movie did really, really well. It felt so. I don't know, there's something about the whole world that's been built here that's just so like adorable, and it really sucks you in. And from the first moment that you see Aladdin and Princess Jasmine in the market meeting for the first time, I was 100% invested because I was so sucked into this world. I'd seen the market, I'd seen these two characters that I knew were going to become these main characters, and so yeah, I was fully immersed in the world in a way that I wasn't in the stage show.
I appreciated the new arrangement side of the music.
Yes.
I like the fact we get duduks in there, and we get sitars, and we get a lot more traditional Eastern music as opposed to Hollywoodized Eastern music, which is what the original film does.
Yeah.
And the kind of electro swing I really liked.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less for the hip-hop version of Friend Like Me over the credits. A bit of my childhood was ripped open from me at that point. But, they got to do what they got to do. The single of A Whole New World is horrendous.
Is that the one with Zayn from One Direction?
I'm going to say
I've
yes.
not heard it because I see, I don't think that I will like it. I'm very much, a musical theatre song should be a musical theatre song, a pop song should be a pop song, so I haven't delved into that. Maybe I'd love it, who knows?
You won't.
Continue.
We also saw the trailer for The Lion King.
Yes.
That was a premiere, I think, for that trailer. Does that make you excited? We heard them speak.
I know. No, not really, to be honest. I think something that we were touching on previously is that some movies do lend themselves more to animation, and I think that a movie about talking animals, when you're trying to make these animals look hyper realistic, the lions are lions. They look exactly the same as a lion you would see out in the wild. I can't imagine a baby lion singing "Just Can't Wait to Be King" and having the persona and the charisma of the animated.
Now I've just got this
character.
image of my cat at home singing this song, and it's just hilarious.
Exactly, it's bizarre, isn't it? Whereas the movie is brightly coloured. It's there's a lot of oranges.
But
reds.
again, it's that whole animation versus live action thing.
Yeah.
Some things just belong in animation because you can suspend your disbelief.
Exactly.
Even more so when they start singing.
Yeah.
Because you forgive it.
Exactly.
But when you have a candlestick start singing
Yeah.
in the real
It
world,
makes you sort of question for a second the world that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is something that I didn't struggle with, but not so much with the first song, Arabian Nights, but with On Jump Ahead, Aladdin's first number. A number that I really enjoyed watching and listening to. I've listened to it on Spotify loads since, but for the first couple of minutes, watching this character that's a real man walking around in the world suddenly starts singing as he's running away from the guards.
suddenly having the skills of Ali Law.
Exactly, and it just comes across like I didn't mind it, but it is strange, especially with this Guy Ritchie style where the fight scenes and the running scenes are sort of like sped up and slowed down to make like a visual style that's quite unique to his vision, I guess. But then to hear the singing alongside that is a little bit jarring.
Yeah. But I'm glad they didn't go the music video route, which is what we almost had with Speechless.
Yes, I noticed that.
Where everything, we get Matrix style and everything stops.
Exactly.
Because it's I can see the reasoning behind it, because it's that second of time that she has that change of thought.
Exactly.
So I understand that, but I'm glad we didn't have a lot of that in the film.
No.
We are starting to see that. Did you ever have the pleasure of seeing Home on the Range?
I saw it once when I was a child.
That was done in a music video
really?
style, which is a real shame. And we said this thousands of times in the show. They've been doing musicals since the 20s.
Exactly, yeah.
And continuously producing musicals and original songs. And for that, I'm grateful that There's a time about 10 years ago when we weren't getting musical films.
This is true, yeah.
And then Rob Marshall appeared with Chicago, and then everything, Hairspray and Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd, and now all the Disney stuff, it is picking up again, and it is exciting. You know, I bet when we went to the premiere, whatever it was, we got really excited because we were going to see a new musical film.
Exactly.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that Disney are doing that. I just wish they were original.
Yeah.
And I wait the live action Frozen, live action Tangled,
No doubt.
live action or animated Enchanted with, I don't know, whatever. To put them on stage is interesting. Beauty and the Beast, the stage show that isn't going to Broadway, it was on a cruise ship, was based on the remake film. So it must be really weird to kind of having this whole route doing a stage show, then doing a musical, then doing a film, then doing a stage show of the film, based on the stage, you know. Only Disney can get away with it, though.
Well, exactly. And that's an interesting thought, actually, that I guess for children going to the cinema now and seeing these movies, this might be the first time, like, a 9-year-old has ever seen Aladdin, and the same with Beauty and the Beast. And maybe they go because they like Emma Watson, Beauty and the Beast, and maybe they go because they like, well, less likely, but maybe they like Will Smith. I don't know what they could have seen him in as a 9-year-old.
Fresh Prince is on Netflix.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, this might be some children's first time seeing these movies and experiencing these stories and these songs. So, you know, the bar is quite high, I think, personally.
I mean, I used to teach kids, and I would play the opening bars of Under the Sea. And every 5-year-old in that room would sing along to a song that's nearly 30 years old. That's Disney summed up for you.
Yeah.
The remake of Little Mermaid, what are your thoughts?
I really hope that it's good. Little Mermaid, I mean, personally, is one of my favourites. But again, I think we might have the same issue in that it's set partially in this world that we can't imagine, this underwater world. Which in animation, it doesn't matter that you're underwater, because the water is just the blue background. Yeah. Whereas in a live-action movie...
Oh, it's all going to be
wavy. It's going to be blobby and, you know, everyone's looking like that. So...
That again, that's...
I don't know. It's just, I really hope that it's good.
And isn't Pasek and Paul and Lin-Manuel Miranda involved with that as well?
Are they really?
I think so.
Gosh, I did not know that.
Because Disney now, it's Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar and remakes. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
And I hope there's another Frozen.
But they're doing Frozen too, right?
No, by another Frozen, I mean
you mean another
completely original
new story,
fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there is.
I started off being very cynical about all of these remakes and thinking, oh, I won't like them at all. And now I'm fully invested, and I'll go, like, based on how much I enjoyed this one, I'll give another one a go, happily. Like, if I see the trailer and I think it looks half decent, I might as well spend a couple of quid, go to the cinema, check it out.
Where do you live?
Well, I went at my hometown and it cost me £5.
Wow.
That's London for you, 20 quid to go to the cinema.
Aladdin, yes.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that, yeah.
Tell us about your blog that you do.
Well, my blog is predominantly musical theatre based. I think I set it up about 4 years ago now. And yeah, it's all shows that I've seen that I would recommend to people, predominantly musical theatre, and just, you know, trying to talk about musicals in a way that's, you know, critical with a capital C, but not, but also bringing personality into it, and recognising that when people go to the theatre, sometimes they don't have the luxury of seeing 100 shows a year, like, you know, many critics would. And sometimes people just want to go and know, if I'm going to spend £100, am I going to have a nice night out? And I think that's what my blog tries to tell people. Like, for your money, if you don't go to the theatre very often, are you going to have a good time with this show or not? Is it worth your money and your train fare? So that's talk stagey to me.
What do you think of the state of the West End now?
That's a good question.
Not this second, but you know, shows go up in 20 minutes.
Busy.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I have never been super fussed with. I know a lot of people are very passionate about, and I totally understand, and in a way I am also, about original, you know, homegrown,
British writing.
Stuff being shown on a West End stage and being shown at big venues. But personally, I think there's a lot of transfers coming over right now that people are excited to see, and you know, the West End is quite full of Broadway transfers at the moment, but the reason for that is that they're popular shows that a lot of people would like to see, and so I'm happy with the way things are.
only new British musical is at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. You'll have to tell me.
We talked about it earlier on the way up here.
Oh, it's Only Fools and Horses.
Correct. And that's an interesting sign,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about Back to the Future. We haven't mentioned it yet on this podcast.
I think it might be good.
That came out of nowhere. Because I remember it was announced a couple of years ago. Boom!
Yeah.
I just get the email saying Back to the Future 2020.
It's happening. Get excited.
And are you a fan of the film?
Yes, I love the film.
How the heck are they going to do that? Because part 1 is part 1 of a 3-part story.
Yeah.
What if they go down the Harry Potter route?
Oh, and you have to come back next week.
You have to see all 3 shows.
My gosh. I mean, I'd be into it, to be honest.
Yeah.
If so.
So was your accountant.
Well, yeah. I'd have to take out an overdraft to go and see them all, but yeah. No, I think it would be fun. Back to the Future is, a zany story.
It's always sung, hasn't it, as a film?
Exactly, yeah.
Did you see the clip they released of the chap singing The Power of Love?
No.
He's very good.
I have to check this out.
Apparently he's very cute as well, so it's not that great for him. But Charlotte, thank you so much for talking about Aladdin. Is there anything else you want to bring up that you've forgotten?
I think that's everything. I would just say go and check it out if you've got a spare afternoon and see what you think for yourself.
My thanks to Charlotte, Marisha Wallace, who was also in the film of Aladdin, Lucy Jones and Ashley Roberts for appearing in this very fun episode of Musical Talk. Join me next week where we'll be discussing Only Fools and Horses, and we'll also be reviewing Amelie, which is currently making its way around the UK. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. You can email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk, listen to past episodes on iTunes and YouTube, and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.